Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. Hello, I'm Tina, 35 female. Me and my husband Mark love cars. We became friends at a car workshop, and that is how we started dating. It was our dream to build the most amazing car ever, but then he got me pregnant at 25. My Christian family would not let me abort the child, and to be honest, I did not want to either. Keeping the child meant giving up on all my dreams and career for both of us, but I decided I was ready to do that. Mark was not ready at first, but I told him I was keeping my baby regardless of him staying in our life or not. He was not with me during the pregnancy, but decided to ask me to marry him as soon as my first son was born. I said yes in a heartbeat. I did not want to raise a kid alone in America. There are just too many things. So we both gave up on our dreams, took the jobs to provide for our ever growing family. He started working as a mechanic, and I am in a marketing team of an automobile company. Money was not good in our jobs, but it was enough to let us go by, to put food on our table and a roof over our family of 5. I have 2 sons and a daughter. They all share their parents' love of cars. So when my husband brought home the most amazing car we had ever seen, they jumped right through to take a look. I had questions, but I put them aside thinking that I would ask later. But no, what he did made me do otherwise. He refused to let kids in the car, and when they insisted, he yelled at them. I asked him what was his deal, and he told me to mind my own business. This was not like Mark. He was a good husband and a great father, and he never yelled at his kids or raised his voice at me. I let it slide, though, thinking he must have had a bad day at work. We sat for dinner, and he did not even eat properly, eager to go back and work at his car. I asked if he bought the car, and he said he did not, that it's just of a customer and it is very expensive, so he could not leave it at the shop. I did not believe him, but he did not elaborate. I tried checking the car, but he worked on it all night, saying that he needs to fix it. So I didn't bother. The next morning, I found him passed out on the bed, so I got up to see the car, and it was still in the driveway. I was making breakfast when the front doorbell rang, and I saw my elderly next door neighbor with concerned faces. They asked me what was going on with the car and everything. I asked them, why are they asking? They looked surprised, saying that I did not know. They said there is a girl in the car. I looked at them like they grew 2 horns because that was just BS. How can there be a girl in the car for 16 hours now? I went outside to see the car, and when I looked through the backseat windows, I did indeed see a petite girl crouched on the floor trying to make herself invisible. I tried to open the car door, but it was locked. I ran upstairs to my room and practically dragged my husband out of bed, asking him to explain what the hell a girl was doing in the car that he brought home yesterday. He looked mortified in front of the neighbors and the kids, but he reluctantly opened the door and told the girl to come out. At first, I thought it was a child, but it was definitely not a child. She looked like a hooker in that skimpy outfit, no more than 20. All came inside the house after shushing the neighbors away, and for the last time I asked Mark to explain what the hell did all of it mean. He was still making excuses, saying the girl was lost, so he brought her here on the way home, and his stories just were not making sense. So I turned to the girl. I grabbed her by the arm and took her to the guest room, making her stand in the middle of the room and explain why she was with my husband and in the car. Was that car hers? The girl looked scared when I asked her in a more loud voice and started crying and babbling. The car was hers and she was 17. She said that she knew Mark for about a year now, since one of her friends brought her to his shop to get her car fixed. She said she loved Mark and he loved her. So she ran away from her family 2 days ago and came to his shop with the car and the money she could sneak from her parents' locker. I could not believe what I was hearing, and this was not it. Mark willingly took her in and promised her that he would take care of her, but he had a wife and kids he needs to say goodbye to first, and that is why he came here. This was nuts. Mark was having an affair, and that too with a child? An underage girl? He could go to prison. He could ruin his whole family. Oh God, I could not believe it. And the neighbors saw it. They saw the girl. They could call the cops at any moment. I went out and threw the car keys right across his face and asked him what the hell he was thinking, screwing around with a kid. That in a couple of years his daughter would be of her age. How could he be so shameless? I did not hear another word from him. I saw my kids crying and I knew exactly what I needed to do. I called the cops. They showed up after an hour or so. In the meantime, Mark begged me to not to. They showed up after an hour or so. In the meantime, Mark begged me not to, and I told him I had to think of my kids and I cannot let him talk me out of it because I trust nothing he says anymore. Police came, took him and the girl, and asked me to come by for the statements. I only told him what happened. If they find him not guilty, it is all good. But I'm not letting him inside my house again. Am I the a-hole for turning my husband in for child sexual harassment or whatever? It's been months and Mark is still in prison serving his time. The girl, her name was Natalie, she was from a well-off family, and when they found her, they especially came to pay me a visit, thanking me for turning my husband in and sending her home. She had been a troubled child and was very easily convinced, and they believed Mark manipulated her into everything because she stole every valuable from the house. Ones that she did not even know were of money. They had a strong reason to believe Mark put her up to all this, and it had been happening for a year. The watches and the necklace, rings, have been going missing from the house. At the mention of jewelry, I brought the beautiful clock necklace Mark gifted me on our last birthday and asked them if it looked familiar. I was right again. It was of Natalie's mother's. It went missing, and they later thought that Nat took it and sold it in a rage when they refused to give her any more money for the month. So that is how he bought all the expensive Christmas presents and new clothes and everything. He had been sucking money off a teenager. I cannot believe I had children with this kind of man and married him. Even my kids are ashamed of him. I did not hide a single thing from them and told them exactly how their father bought them gifts. They all dumped those gifts into the trash, all three of them. He used to serve 7 years in prison. Less, in my opinion. If someone did that to my child, I would not stop until they hang him. But I guess Natalie, almost being 18, helped his case. My children refuse to visit him, but I do. I go once in a few months to tell him how much his kids have grown to hate the man they called dad, and that he deserved it because he could not respect someone else's daughter. Natalie had been in therapy since then, and she still thinks she loved Mark and will wait for him to get out of prison. I don't know what is wrong with the kids these days. No one understands the value of their life. Just running after a man of your father's age on top of that. My husband got released from prison 2 years earlier for his apparent good behavior and active work. He showed up at my door yesterday. I did not let him in and turned him away, locking the door. He told me he will send lawyers if I do not let him meet his kids. My oldest is about to turn 18 soon, and all my kids hate him for what he did. They face bullying in school, financial problems at home, and the emotional trauma of their hero father being the sexual predator. I could not let him come into my kid's life again. I don't care if he had served for his crime or if he has changed. He's a greedy man with no morals. I wondered what Natalie will do now, so I called her family just to inform. They are smarter than most, and they said that they have sent their daughter to study abroad. They planned it as soon as they found out that Mark was getting released early. I know I cannot make the decision for my kids anymore. They're all growing up, and I know they hate that man and would not want to do anything with them. But if I do not even tell them that he's out of prison now and wants to meet them, it would be unfair to them. I'm still not sure, and I do not want to let him come into our lives again. Am I the a-hole for wanting that? No, you are NTA. He should have been hanged. Why did they even let a pedophile out of the jail? Girl, you are so right at not letting him around your kids, especially if you have a daughter. I would put nothing past a pedo. Please put your daughter in therapy. You never know. NTA, I totally agree with you and understand you. Just know that you handled the situation very strongly and ethically. It must have killed you to accept the fact that the man you loved did something like this, and calling the cops on him, knowing how hard it will make your life. You go, girl. I'm here for the strong, independent woman that you are, raising 3 kids on your own. I, male 28, I'm engaged to a 27-year-old woman we'll call Anna. Anna's parents had a barbecue about 45 minutes away, and we had agreed to attend. Everything that morning went okay. We drove there and chatted, hung out, etc. About an hour into it, I started feeling off. I had felt fine previously, but started rapidly getting a really bad headache. I attributed it to both the cigarette smoke coming from her family members and these weird smelling outdoor candles that they had everywhere. I went out to my car, grabbed some Tylenol, and came back and didn't say anything and ate some food. Half an hour later, and my head is beyond killing me and making me nauseous. I got up to find Anna, who was talking with some relatives, and asked if she was okay with leaving a bit early because I had a massive headache that kept getting worse. She immediately got mad and said, "We just got here a little over an hour and a half ago. We aren't leaving already. Stop being dramatic and sit down for a bit." I didn't argue with her or really respond, but instead went in the house to use the bathroom and splash some water on my face. When I was on my way out, I heard Anna talking to her parents in the doorway. They must have asked her why she looked upset and heard her say, "I guess Matt doesn't want to be here, since he'd rather leave than spend time with my family. I swear he's so selfish. I was looking forward to this all week just for him to ruin it for me." Before I thought about it, I walked out, looked at Anna, who was still pouting, and said, "I'm going home. I'll see you tonight." Got in my car and left. The drive home was miserable. I ended up puking when I got home and found out later that I was having a migraine, which isn't something I've ever had before, so I had no idea how to deal with that. Anyways, I got an ice pack and finally fell asleep. A couple of hours later, Anna comes storming in and screaming at me, saying that her parents had to drive all this way to bring her home and I was a selfish a-hole. She grabbed her bag, said she was going to her friend's house, and left. Am I TA for leaving her there? I wasn't going to force her to leave or dampen the mood. When I asked her originally if she wanted to leave early, I was respectful and not pushy about it. It was a simple question. If anything, I would have laid down there for a few minutes in their spare room. It was hearing what she said that I found hurtful. I've always been very present with her and her family. Holiday get-togethers, I'm always there, and we always had a great time. This type of thing doesn't happen, which is why I don't understand the huge blow-up she had. I didn't realize how quickly she would say these things about me, and it makes me wonder how often she says them. She tends to have temper tantrums often, and I usually just let her go or give her what she wants. But this one took the cake, and to me, it felt a huge overreaction. AITA? NTA, this was a blessing in disguise. This was your wake-up call. You have been ignoring or rationalizing her having temper tantrums often, and I usually just let her go or give her what she wants. What she should have done when you told her you were ill was to show compassion. Instead, this was all about her. Run, don't walk away from this relationship. NTA, migraines are terrible. You caught Anna shit talking to her parents about you, and she's surprised you left? Reconsider the engagement because a barbecue is more important to her than your health, and you have learned that she gets through life by putting down other people to make herself look like a victim. I'm male, 18. I was adopted by a couple who separated shortly after my adoption, and I eventually was taken away from them and placed into foster care when I was 3. That's where I grew up. Recently, I've acquitted details about my biological parents from a family friend who helped connect them to my adoptive parents all those years ago. I looked them up online. They have 3 kids, a 15-year-old boy and twin female 13. The son has the same name as mine. A few weeks ago, I went to the church they go and I saw them from a distance. Didn't introduce myself, just wanted to see them before they knew who I am. Also figured out where they live, where the kids go to school, where they work, and some other general information. About 2 weeks ago, I finally sent a message to my mom explaining who I am and telling her that I would like to meet them. She saw the message that day but didn't reply for a whole week, and then just sent a very short message telling me that they're not interested to know more about me or to have me in their lives, to not contact her or her family ever again. I sent a message to my dad then, and he said that we can have a phone call. We had that call last week. He didn't even let me tell him anything about myself. He explained that they had me when they were 22 and didn't want a child back then, so they gave me to another couple, and there's really nothing for us to discuss. He said he doesn't want to know more about me and doesn't want to hear from me again. I'm not going to lie, this was difficult for me to hear, and I had a few days to process it. But I get it. They didn't want me then, and they don't want me now. I'm trying my best to get over it, but I still have three siblings. Maybe they would want to get to know me. So I sent another message to my dad, thanked him for taking the time to speak with me and being frank about what he wants. I explained that I respect the fact that he and my mom don't want me in their lives, and that's their choice, and I respect that. However, I have three siblings, and I would like to meet and get to know them. So I said I'm happy for them to tell them. He called me an hour later. This time he was angry and told me that he made it clear that I have no place in their family and I should stay away from all five of them forever. He said the kids don't know about me and it will stay that way. I wasn't expecting him to call me or the aggression, so I was kind of shocked. But I was like, but that should be their choice. And he said he's not going to discuss his family with me. Ended the call by saying, do not contact any of us ever again. WIBTA? If I went to talk to my siblings, introduce myself, and let them know they have an older brother, I'm obviously not trying to be an a-hole here, but I don't think the parents get to make this decision about the children. I do want a relationship with my siblings. Of course, only if they want that too. If my siblings don't want to get to know me, I'll stay away from them all. Soft YTA, you don't have the right to disturb a family unit when not everyone is adults. And the two adults in the family have made it clear that they don't want you to be involved in it. It sounds like you'd want to just cause chaos and call out your bio parents for something that isn't really anyone's fault. They accidentally got pregnant and didn't want to have an abortion. It's understandable that you want to know and connect with them, but the parents of those children have made it clear they don't want you doing that. You're also somewhat endangering their emotional mental health by just coming by with serious information. You could get in trouble for harassment because that is what you're essentially doing. Wait until they're 18 and see what happens, or just move on. Make your own family. Do a 23 plus me and find out whatever from your genes, but don't harass people who don't want you there. It's bordering unhinged behavior to threaten your bio parents for not wanting to open up the can of worms